It is the natural right of every human being to be happy, to escape all the miseries of life. Happiness is the normal condition. It is as natural as the landscapes and the seasons. It is unnatural to suffer, and it is only because of our ignorance that we do suffer. Happiness is the product of wisdom. To attain perfect wisdom, to comprehend fully the purpose of life, to realize completely the relationship of human beings to each other, is to put an end to all suffering, to escape every ill and evil that afflicts us. Perfect wisdom is unshadowed joy. Why do we suffer in life? Because in the scheme of nature we are being forced forward in evolution, and we lack the spiritual illumination that alone can light the way and enable us to move safely among the obstacles that lie before us. Usually, we do not even see or suspect the presence of trouble until it suddenly leaps upon us like a concealed tiger. One day our family circle is complete and happy. A week later, death has come and gone, and joy is replaced with agony. Today we have a friend. Tomorrow he will be an enemy, and we do not know why. A little while ago we had wealth and all material luxuries. There was a sudden change, and now we have only poverty and misery, and yet we seek in vain for a reason why this should be. There was a time when we had health and strength, but they have both departed, and no trace of a reason appears. Aside from these greater tragedies of life, innumerable things of lesser consequence continually bring to us little miseries and minor heartaches. We most earnestly desire to avoid them, but we never see them until they strike us, until in the darkness of our ignorance we blunder upon them. The thing we lack is the spiritual illumination that will enable us to look far and wide, finding the hidden causes of human suffering and revealing the method by which they may be avoided. And if we can but reach illumination, the evolutionary journey can be made both comfortably and swiftly. It is as though we must pass through a long, dark room filled with furniture, haphazardly scattered about. In the darkness, our progress would be slow and painful and our bruises many. But if we could press a button that would turn on the electric light, we could then make the same journey quickly and with perfect safety and comfort. The old method of education was to fill the mind with as many facts or supposed facts as could be accumulated and to give a certain exterior polish to the personality. The theory was that when a person was born, he or she was a completed human being, and that all that could be done for them was to load each person up with information that would be used with more or less skill, according to the native ability they happened to be born with. The idea is that the physical person and their life in the physical world is only a small part of who they truly are. Inside each person, there is a vast amount of power and wisdom waiting to be tapped. As we focus on personal growth and self-development, our physical body and its spiritual counterparts evolve and adapt to express our true selves. The more effort we put into self-awareness and inner development, the more we will gain spiritual understanding and wisdom. This inner light will guide us towards happiness and fulfillment, making our life journey more meaningful and less painful. Why does death bring misery? Chiefly because it separates us from those we love. But when we have evolved the faculty of clairvoyance in our work of self-development, the separation vanishes and our dead friends are as much with us as the living. The only other reason why death brings grief or fear is because we do not understand it and comprehend the part it plays in human evolution. But the moment our ignorance gives way to comprehension, such fear vanishes and a serene happiness takes its place. Why do we have adversaries who cause us harm through their words or actions? It is because in our limited awareness, we fail to recognize that we're all interconnected and that our own negative thoughts and actions will inevitably come back to affect us through others. The only way to break free from this cycle is to stop thinking and acting with malice, and then patiently wait for the consequences of our past actions to play out. When we finally gain spiritual understanding and emerge from the darkness of ignorance, our enemies will vanish and will never create new ones again. Why do people struggle with poverty and disease? It's because of our own ignorance and lack of understanding. We fail to see the purpose and lessons behind these challenges, and we don't know how to respond to them. If we had the wisdom to understand why these difficulties arise in people's lives and the role they play in their personal growth, they would no longer be a burden to us. Once we've learned the valuable lessons they have to offer, these challenges will cease to exist. And so it is with all forms of suffering we experience. They are both consequences of our own ignorance and wise teachers that guide us towards a better path. Once we've learned the lessons they offer, they're no longer necessary and fade away. This is how our growth and development unfold. We've come a long way as a human race, evolving over time to acquire the 5 senses that help us gain knowledge. It's clear that this evolution is ongoing, and it's naive to think that the 5 senses we have now are the only ones we'll ever possess. As we continue on our evolutionary journey, the next step is to develop the 6th sense. Some individuals have already done so, and many are on the cusp of this breakthrough. This emerging sense is known as clairvoyance. A closer look reveals that clairvoyants possess unique abilities that set them apart from others. This is just the beginning of the development of the 6th sense, and for most clairvoyants, it only allows them to access the etheric and lower astral realms, which are just beyond the reach of ordinary sight. However, a highly developed and trained clairvoyant can raise their consciousness to 2 full planes beyond, accessing even more profound levels of awareness. The higher the consciousness is raised, the further the horizon of knowledge extends, and the clairvoyant is able to hand down information that appears quite miraculous. But it is perfectly natural. If a person were born blind and had never understood any more about eyesight than most people understand about clairvoyance, and if this person could only know how many doorways were in a large building by groping along with his hands, and thus acquiring the knowledge by touch, and another person who could see should glance along the block and instantly tell the blind man the correct number to that blind man, that would be a miracle. When a clairvoyant perceives things at a distance, beyond the reach of the physical eye, they're not doing anything extraordinary. When we see something, we're simply receiving vibrations from light, which convey information to us. Similarly, when a clairvoyant sees through solid objects, they're receiving vibrations from extremely fine matter that can penetrate solid substances, much as ether does. Every human being must make, and is making, this long, evolutionary journey from spiritual infancy to godlike power and perfection. But there are 2 ways in which it may be done. We may, as the vast majority do, accept the process of unconscious evolution and submit to the natural consequences of our actions and the challenges that continuously urge us, thoughtlessly and indifferently, forward, until we finally reach the goal. Or we may choose conscious evolution and work intelligently with nature, thus making rapid progress at an astonishingly fast pace, while simultaneously avoiding much of what Hamlet called the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune. The degree to which our mind can control circumstances and dominate matter is far greater than is generally believed. Our impressions about matter are very illusory. No form of matter is permanent. Change goes on everywhere at every instant, by physical laws in the physical body and by astral and mental laws in our spiritual bodies. We are not the same being physically, mentally, or spiritually any 2 days in succession. The very soul itself is subject to this law of change. It may expand and shine resplendently, or it may only faintly glimmer from day to day. What is the law of soul growth? Through adherence to what principle may we reach spiritual illumination? There are certain well-established facts about the laws of growth that we should not overlook when seeking the way forward. Nothing whatever can grow without use or activity. Inaction causes atrophy. Physiologists tell us, if you were to immobilize your arm, preventing it from moving or being used, it would eventually become weak and useless and of no further service. It will wither away. That is nature's law of economy. Nature never gives life where it is useless, where it cannot or will not be utilized. On the other hand, exercise increases power. To increase the size and strength of muscles, we must use them. This is just as true of mental and moral faculties as it is of the physical body. The only way to tap into your spiritual potential is to intentionally focus on your highest aspirations and ideals, and to do so systematically instead of randomly. Our thoughts shape us, and we become the sum of our thoughts. What we focus on shapes who we are. The reverse is equally true. To give no thought to higher things, to become completely absorbed in material matters, is to stifle the soul and invite spiritual atrophy. Nature provides us with convincing proof of this in two examples. The parasite, whether plant or animal, is living evidence that to refuse or neglect to use an organ or faculty results in being deprived of it. Take the dodder plant. It has roots just like other plants, but when it starts to tap into the resources of nearby plants using its suckers, its own roots start to wither away. This is a clear example of how not using something can lead to losing it altogether. Nature also demonstrates that disuse means loss, and that to shirk responsibility is the road to degeneration. Here is an example. The hermit crab was once equipped with a hard shell and with as good means of locomotion as other crabs, but instead of courageously following the hardy life of other crustaceans, it formed the bad habit of taking up its residence in the cast-off shells of mollusks. This made life easy and indolent, but it paid the price of all shirking. In time, it lost 4 legs, while the shell over the vital portion of its body degenerated to a thin membrane, which leaves it practically helpless when it is out of its captured home. And this is the certain result of all shirking of responsibility. There may be an apparent temporary gain, but it always means greater loss, either immediate or remote. So it is that nature punishes inaction with atrophy. Whatever is not used finally ceases to be. In plain language, apathy, inaction, idleness, uselessness is the road to degeneration. On the other hand, aspiration and activity mean growth, development, and power. So we grow physically, mentally, and spiritually by being active, by exercising our bodies, and equally important, by fostering the faculties we desire to possess. It is only by the constant exercise of these things that we can grow into our power. When this great law of nature is understood, we see at once how it is that life is full of trouble, why it is that the whole visible world seems to be designed to keep us constantly at work physically and mentally, to challenge our resourcefulness in improving ourselves, to continually try our patience, and to forever test our courage. It is the way of development. It is the price of being the best we can be in our efforts to get the most out of our life and to get what we want in this life. The universe is a training school for evolving intelligence, a vast gymnasium for the development of personal power and soul growth. We become mentally clever by playing at the game of life. We match our courage against its adversities and acquire fearlessness. We try our optimism against its disappointments and learn cheerfulness. We pit our patience against its failures and gain persistence. We are torn from the pinnacle of ambition by opponents and learn toleration of others. We fall from the heights of vanity and pride and learn to be modest and humble. We encounter pain and sorrow and learn sympathy with suffering. It's only through life's challenges and experiences that we can reach our full potential. It's only when we're in an environment that supports our spiritual growth that we can unlock the hidden abilities within us and use the developing power to redefine our life. This is the universe we live in, and there's no escaping it. No one can avoid the ups and downs of life, not even those who, in moments of desperation, might consider taking their own life to escape their problems. The truth is, we never really die. We can only choose how we want to live. We have 2 options. We can either drift through life, helpless and suffering from all its challenges, or we can take control and choose to evolve consciously, making life a true success. We can either be slaves to the whims of the universe, or we can live happy masters of its laws. Every person, no matter how evolved or spiritually advanced, has the potential within them to develop all human abilities. However, becoming wise or virtuous doesn't happen overnight. It takes time, effort, and dedication. It may take many lifetimes for someone to achieve significant personal growth, but when someone starts to understand the meaning of life and makes a conscious decision to work in harmony with nature, their progress can be rapid and remarkable. This transformation from ignorance to spiritual awareness, from feeling trapped by circumstances to having power over them, can only be achieved through one's own efforts. It's a process of soul growth, where you tap into your inner potential and bring it to life. You can't rely on others or external factors to do it for you. It's up to you to unlock your own latent abilities and become the best version of yourself. To achieve spiritual awareness and true wisdom, you need to cultivate certain moral qualities or virtues through a deliberate and systematic effort. This growth can only happen through your own dedication and hard work, following the natural laws of universal soul growth. You can't become a better person just by reading about the importance of moral values. Similarly, you can't develop physical strength just by watching others exercise. To build muscle, you need to engage in physical activity yourself. Likewise, to gain spiritual strength and wisdom, you need to live a life that nurtures your spirit. There's no shortcut. First, you need to understand what qualities are essential for spiritual growth, and then you need to commit to putting in the effort to develop them. It's not just about knowledge. It's about putting that knowledge into practice and making it a part of your daily life. The first step towards personal growth and self-awareness is to understand that your physical body is not the same as your true self. Your body is simply a tool, a vessel that allows your true self to express itself in the physical world. Think of it like a hand or a pen. It's something you use to achieve your goals, but it's not the real you. Once you grasp this concept, you'll start to feel a sense of detachment from your body, and that's when you can begin to take control of it. When you realize that you are not your body, but rather the one controlling it, you'll be on the path to mastering yourself and unlocking your full potential. To achieve success in soul growth and self-development, there are 3 essential qualities you need to possess. Without these 3 qualities, progress will be limited. It is with good fortune that these qualities can be developed over time with effort and dedication. The 3 essential qualities are: 1. A strong desire to change and grow. 2. Unwavering determination and willpower. 3. A sharp and discerning mind. Why are these 3 qualifications essential to success, and what purpose do they serve? Read on as I explain in detail. First is the desire to change and grow. Desire is nature's motor power, the propulsive force that pushes you forward in your evolution. It is desire that stimulates you to action. Desire drives you towards the activities that evolve your physical body and sharpen your intelligence. If you had no desire, you would lie inert and perish. But your desire for food, for drink, for social interaction compels you to action, and the result is the evolution of strength, skill, and intelligence in proportion to the intensity of your desires. To gratify these desires, you will battle for it, no matter how great may be the odds against you, and you will unhesitatingly risk your life itself in the combat. Desire not only induces the activity that develops your physical strength and beauty, but also has its finer effects. Hunger compels you not only to seek food, but to use your cunning to attain it at all cost. Driven forward by desire, you develop, among other qualities, strength, courage, patience, endurance, and intelligence. Desire plays the same role when you are in your higher stage of evolution. It stimulates you to action, and always as your efforts satisfy your original desire, a new one replaces the old and lures you on to renewed effort. When beginning your business career, you desire only a comfortable home. But when that is attained, you want a mansion. You soon tire of the mansion and want a palace. Then you want several, at the seaside, in the city, and on the mountains. At first, you are satisfied with one automobile, and then another, and finally, a yacht. You set out as a young person to earn a livelihood and welcome a small salary. But the desire for money pushes you into business for yourself, and you work tirelessly for success. You feel that a small fortune should satisfy anyone, but when you get it, you want to be a millionaire. If you succeed in that, you then desire to become a multimillionaire and then a billionaire. Whether your desire is for wealth or for fame or for power, the same escalation in your desire follows. When your desire is satisfied, a greater one takes its place and spurs you to work harder. You grasp the prize you believe will bring complete satisfaction, only to discover that while you were pursuing it, desire had grown beyond it, and so the goal you would attain is always far ahead of you. It may seem as if you have been tricked and apparently mocked by the universe until you finally awaken to the fact that all of the objects of your desire, the fine clothes, the jewels, the cars, the palaces, the wealth, the power, are but vain and empty things. You come to understand that the real reward for all your efforts to secure them is not these objects at all, but the new powers you have evolved in getting them, powers that you did not before possess, and which you should not have evolved but for nature's great propulsive force of desire. When you work hard for many years to build a successful business, it's natural to think that the wealth and fortune you've accumulated is your reward. But the truth is that the wealth itself is fleeting and doesn't last. What's truly valuable is the soul growth and new abilities you've developed along the way. Skills like planning, thinking, and perseverance. These skills will stay with you and benefit you in the long run, even beyond this lifetime. Desire plays a crucial role in helping us grow and evolve as humans. It motivates us, stimulates us, and drives us forward, just as a powerful engine fuels a car and electricity powers every aspect of our lives. Desire is the driving force behind human evolution. We may come across inspiring quotes that are valuable for spiritual seekers, such as "kill the Buddha," but might be misunderstood or misapplied by the general public if taken literally. For example, the phrase "kill the Buddha" might be better understood as "let go of desire." Or said another way, transmute desire. Without desires, humans would be stagnant in a state that would hinder further growth. However, by redirecting our lower desires towards higher aspirations, we can continue to grow and evolve, all while maintaining the driving force that propels us forward. To transmute desire, to continually replace the lower with the higher, really is letting go of desire, but it may seem a slow and safe evolutionary process. As to crushing desire suddenly, that is simply impossible. But change the object of desire. Well, that will work wonders. Let's say a young man has a gambling problem, and his parents are worried sick about it. The usual approach is to lecture him about the dangers of gambling and encourage him to find better pursuits. But this approach rarely works because the young gambler isn't interested in living a life that seems dull and uneventful to him. Instead, his parents should try to understand why he's drawn to gambling in the first place. Is it because he wants to make money quickly? Is it because he craves excitement and action? These desires aren't inherently bad. In fact, they're a natural part of being human. It's pointless to try to suppress them, because they're a fundamental part of who he is. A better approach would be to redirect his desires into more positive channels. For example, his parents could say to him, "You want to make money and live a life that's full of excitement and unpredictability? Well, you can get all that in a legitimate way by pursuing a career in politics. You'll have the opportunity to make a real difference, take calculated risks, and experience the thrill of competition, all within the bounds of the law. And who knows, you might even earn the respect of your peers along the way." By redirecting his desires in a positive way, his parents can help him find a more constructive outlet for his energy and passions. Trying to suppress his desires altogether is a losing battle. Instead, we should focus on guiding them in a more positive direction. Sometimes, we need to overcome certain harmful desires or habits that are holding us back. The good news is that it's possible to break free from these vices if we're truly committed to changing. There's a step-by-step process that can help us overcome any desire that's no longer serving us. Let's take the example of someone who struggles with a desire for alcohol, but genuinely wants to quit. Many people who struggle with addiction feel ashamed and humiliated when they lose control, and they would do anything to be free from this habit. However, instead of confronting the issue head-on, they often try to suppress their feelings and promise themselves that they'll be stronger next time. But this approach rarely works, because it's just a temporary band-aid solution. By avoiding the problem and pushing it to the back of their mind, they're actually perpetuating their weakness. Instead, it's essential to confront and acknowledge the desire, rather than trying to ignore or suppress it. For this, he should use his full imagination. He should imagine himself in a future where he's still trapped in the vicious cycle of his unwanted desire. He should visualize the consequences of not breaking free, the physical and mental deterioration, the financial struggles, the emotional pain, and the shame that comes with it. He should picture himself as an older person, weakened and helpless, struggling with the addiction. He should reflect on the humiliation, poverty, and suffering that awaits him if he doesn't take action now. This exercise can help him develop a sense of distaste towards the desire that's holding him back. By regularly reflecting on the negative consequences of his addiction, he'll start to feel a sense of repulsion towards it. This can help him break free from its grip. It's essential for him to approach this exercise with a mindset of detachment rather than intense hostility. He's not trying to fuel anger or hatred towards the desire, but rather a sense of indifference. By mentally dwelling on the pain and humiliation it causes, he'll start to feel the desire weakening, and the ties that bind him will begin to loosen. This principle applies to any desire that's holding him back, not just addiction. By using this method, he can break free from any unwanted desire. He will find the ties loosening and the desire weakening. Desire is a powerful force that can be either beneficial or harmful, depending on how it's used. Just as we can eliminate a desire, we can also create a new one. So, how can someone who wants to achieve their highest potential use desire, a fundamental driving force of nature, to propel themselves forward? The answer is that they should cultivate a deep and sincere desire for spiritual growth. Without this desire, they won't be able to succeed. If the individual doesn't already have a burning passion for spiritual enlightenment, they need to create it within themselves. One way to do this is by harnessing the power of imagination. Imagine yourself with an amplified capacity for making a positive impact, thanks to your spiritual growth. Picture yourself possessing a deeper understanding of others' struggles and empathizing with their pain. Envision how this newfound awareness would make you an enormous asset to the world, bringing joy to countless people. As you progress on your spiritual journey, you may even have the privilege of connecting with enlightened beings who guide and support those on a similar path. Remember that every effort you make brings you closer to realizing a more fulfilling, joyful life. If these goals seem too lofty for now, start by focusing on the personal benefits of soul growth. Imagine having a direct connection to the spiritual realm, being able to communicate with loved ones who have passed on, and having definitive proof of the afterlife. Envision the incredible advantages of exploring the astral realm and integrating that awareness into your daily life. The possibilities are endless, and the effort required to attain them is well worth it. As you reflect on the expanded life and abilities that await you, your desire for self-development will grow stronger, and you will be that much closer to living a higher life of peace, joy, and contentment. The second essential quality for soul growth is a firm will. Striving for spiritual growth is a challenging and unusual goal that requires an iron will to succeed. Even in everyday life, having a strong will is crucial to achieving success in business, mastering a profession, or becoming an expert in an art. Spiritual development is even more demanding, and while any effort is worth it, those who have a weak will won't get far. Only those with an unshakable determination and perseverance will achieve significant progress. When you're fully tapped into your inner determination, nothing will stand in your way. Every obstacle will be effortlessly overcome. But a person may be easily deceived about his will. Take Samuel, who was determined to achieve spiritual illumination and a higher life. He thought to himself, "I'd do anything to get there." But as he began the process, he realized that his willpower wasn't as strong as he thought. To test his strength, Samuel decided to examine his daily habits. He asked himself, "Do I stick to my plans, or do I give in to obstacles?" He realized that he often let small setbacks derail his goals. One evening, Samuel decided to rise at 6 a.m. the next morning. He was convinced it was the right thing to do. But when the alarm clock rang, he felt a strong urge to hit the snooze button. Maybe I was too hasty, he thought. Perhaps 7 a.m. would be a better time. But when 7 o'clock arrived, he rationalized that 8 o'clock would be even better. He was convinced it was the right thing to do. But when the alarm clock rang, he felt a strong urge to hit the snooze button. Maybe I was too hasty, he thought. Perhaps 7 a.m. would be a better time. But when 7 o'clock arrived, he rationalized that 8 o'clock would be even better. The specific time or timing isn't what matters. What's crucial is following through on the decision Samuel made, whenever that may be. Failing to do so is a sign of a weak willpower. Samuel realized that his willpower was weaker than he thought. He was allowing his desire for comfort and sleep to override his goals. He was still a slave to his physical body, letting his physical desires control his actions. He knew that if he wanted to make progress in his spiritual journey, he needed to develop real willpower. Samuel needed to be able to stick to his plans and overcome his physical desires. He wasn't ready for advanced spiritual work, where only those with unwavering determination could succeed. Samuel felt a sense of disappointment, but he also felt determined to change. He knew that he needed to start small and build up his willpower. Slowly but surely, he was ready to put in the effort to become stronger, to become the master of his own life. When people fail to take control of their lives and prioritize their physical desires, they often don't realize the cost they're paying for fleeting pleasures. Until we make a conscious effort to take charge, we may find ourselves in situations that force us to confront our weaknesses and push us to develop our willpower. It may be uncomfortable at the time, but what better opportunity could an unmotivated person ask for than to be placed in a situation where they're forced to put their comfort aside and tap into their inner strength? Nature has a way of teaching us the lessons we need to learn. We can either work with the universe and take proactive steps towards growth, or we can wait for life to present us with challenges that will push us to evolve. The choice is ours. Every aspect of business and commerce is, in one way or another, helping to build willpower. Through them, will and desire work together in evolving latent powers. Desire arouses willpower. When someone wants to achieve financial success, they're motivated to take action and overcome obstacles that stand in their way. This desire sparks a drive within them, building their willpower as they work to overcome challenges and achieve their goals. When someone has a strong desire for learning, it ignites a fire within them, fueling their determination to overcome any obstacle that stands between them and their educational goals. With an unyielding will, they can conquer challenges like poverty and other barriers, ultimately achieving their dream of earning a diploma. Even if someone is at a basic level of personal development, where they don't have ambitions for education, fame, or wealth, but only a fundamental desire for basic necessities like food and shelter, that desire still drives them to take action. And although their willpower will only grow as strong as the desire that motivates them, it will still develop and become stronger over time. Instead of waking up at a certain time because he's made a conscious decision to do so, he might only get up because he has to, in order to keep his job. But even though it's not a voluntary choice, he's still learning the same valuable lesson: how to overcome the laziness of his physical body and develop self-discipline. But all this is unconscious evolution. It's a long, difficult and painful process. This is the only path for those who don't have the wisdom to work with the natural flow of life and rise above the need for external motivation. So, how can we develop our willpower when it's weak, and we're still controlled by our impulses instead of being in charge of our own destiny? The good news is that willpower, like any other skill, can be developed and strengthened. Here's a practical way to do it. Start by planning ahead and deciding what you'll do in specific situations. Then, when the time comes, follow through on your plan without hesitation or excuses. To make it more manageable, start with small, achievable goals. For example, choose a small task that you normally put off and commit to doing it at a specific time. By preparing yourself in advance, you'll be more likely to succeed. Once you've made the decision, stick to it. Don't put it off or delay when the time arrives. By doing so, you'll build your willpower and develop the habit of following through on your commitments. One of the key lessons we need to learn is how to overcome the laziness and inertia of our physical bodies. Many people are not fully awake and alive in their physical bodies because they haven't achieved this. In a sense, they're sleepwalking through life, trapped in a state of partial consciousness. The heavy, inert physical body dominates them, leaving them only half alive until they break free from its control. As the old saying goes, life is a mystery, death is a doubt. And some folks are dead while they're walking about. This phrase captures the idea that some people are going through the motions of life, but they're not truly alive or awake. They're stuck in a state of numbness, unaware of their full potential. The laziness and inertia of the physical body that can render people almost useless is largely a habit that can be overcome with a bit of willpower. We've all experienced days when our minds are sharp and we're full of energy, and days when we feel dull and lethargic. But what many people don't realize is that those sluggish periods can be overcome by making a conscious effort to use our willpower. For example, an actor or public speaker who's been performing consistently for months may start to feel mentally and physically exhausted. They might feel like they've lost their spark and can't think of anything to say, but by summoning their willpower, they can quickly overcome that feeling and transform from a state of mental dullness to one of sharpness and intensity. It's a matter of making a conscious decision to tap into our inner strength and overcome the physical and mental fatigue. With willpower, we can break free from the inertia that holds us back and unlock our full potential. The true self, the essence of who we are, is never exhausted. It's the physical body that gets tired. It is true that our physical bodies have limitations and shouldn't be pushed beyond their capacity. We need to use our judgment to determine how much we can handle and avoid burnout. However, when we do take on tasks, we should approach them with energy and enthusiasm, rather than letting our physical bodies hold us back. We should strive to be fully present and alert, instead of going through the motions in a state of numbness. If we commit to being the master of our own bodies, we can develop the ability to stay active and focused throughout the day. Just as we can cultivate the habit of being mindful and aware of our surroundings, we can also train ourselves to be more alert and engaged in our daily lives. Giving your mind the attention it needs and using your willpower to focus and control it is incredibly important. Isn't it the act of paying attention that connects the ego and the objective world? Giving attention is a conscious process that allows us to tap into our full potential. When we fail to focus, we miss out on life's opportunities and waste valuable time. To pay attention is to be fully alive, awake, and present, making the most of our limited time on this earth. However, many people struggle to maintain focus, even in everyday conversations. They can't direct their minds to convey a simple idea without getting sidetracked, bringing up irrelevant details that only serve to confuse and obscure the original point. As a result, the main issue gets lost in a sea of unnecessary information. To accelerate personal growth, it's essential to break free from distracting habits of mind. Instead, deliberately focus your attention on the task at hand, whether it's a conversation, reading a book, completing a task, or solving a problem. Avoid letting your mind wander and maintain a consistent connection between your mind and the subject. Few people realize the power of sustained attention, which can unlock a deeper level of consciousness and enhance their productivity. When you give a task your undivided attention, you'll achieve more in a shorter amount of time. For example, if you allocate 10 minutes to a task but only focus for 5 minutes due to distractions, you'll only achieve half of what you could have accomplished if you had maintained uninterrupted attention for the full 10 minutes. Time spent with wavering attention is essentially wasted. The connection between your mind and the task at hand is incomplete, like a blurry image. To achieve results, you need to sustain your attention to the point of concentration. Think of your mind like a magnifying glass. If you hold the glass between the sun and a piece of paper, but it's out of focus, nothing will happen. Even after an hour, you'll just get a faint circle of light on the paper. But if you adjust the glass to bring the sun's rays into perfect focus, concentrating them to a tiny point, the paper will start to burn, and eventually, it will catch fire. The same sun's rays that were previously ineffective now produce a dramatic result. Concentration is what makes all the difference. You need to develop complete control over your mind so that you can direct it with precision, like a searchlight beam. You should be able to focus your mind on a specific topic, shine a bright light on it, and hold it there until every detail is illuminated, just as a searchlight can cut through the darkness of night, revealing every rock and tree on a distant hillside. Your mind should be able to pierce through complexity and uncertainty, bringing clarity and understanding to even the most obscure subjects. The third essential quality for soul growth is a sharp and discerning mind. You need to combine the power of your desire, the focus of a strong will, and with a sharp and alert mind to the process of self-evolution. There is a popular notion that good motives are sufficient in themselves, and that when one has the desire to attain spiritual illumination, plus the will to achieve, nothing more is needed but purity of purpose. But this is a misconception. It is true that the mystic makes devotion the vital thing in his spiritual growth, and it is also true that the three paths of action, knowledge, and devotion do blend and become one at a higher stage. While there are some spiritual paths that don't emphasize intellect at the beginning, it's impossible to ignore its importance in the long run. But in the approach we're exploring here, intellect plays a vital role from the start. As well, good intentions must play a crucial role in spiritual growth and development. They serve as a safeguard for the individual on their upward journey, protecting them from potential pitfalls and ensuring they stay on the right path. While good intentions and a selfless attitude are essential for spiritual growth, they're not a substitute for critical thinking and common sense. Without a strong sense of selflessness, an individual can be exposed to great dangers. However, having good motives alone is not enough. It's equally important to engage your rational mind and think critically. You must develop judgment and discrimination. There are things that you must know, and you must use your knowledge, or difficulties will follow no matter how noble your intentions may be. Let's consider an example to illustrate this point. Imagine two men venturing out on a dark night to cross a treacherous terrain. One has malicious intentions, planning to rob a house and harm anyone who gets in his way. Despite his bad motives, he's knowledgeable about the terrain and navigates it safely. The other man has pure intentions, heading to visit a sick neighbor in need. However, he's unaware of the dangers that lie ahead, and despite his good motives, he's likely to stumble or fall, causing harm to himself. This example shows that good motives aren't enough. Knowledge is crucial for progress, especially in spiritual growth. Having good intentions is important, but it's equally essential to have the knowledge and understanding to navigate the journey safely and effectively. So, how can we acquire a sharp and alert intelligence if we don't already possess it? The answer is that it can be developed, just like any other latent faculty or power. Just as physical strength can be increased through regular exercise, mental power can be developed through systematic effort. One way to do this is to set aside a specific time each day, even just 15 minutes, to engage in original thinking. You can use a book on a serious subject as a starting point, but it's not enough to simply read passively. Instead, adopt a critical and discerning approach, evaluating the ideas presented from different angles, considering the evidence, and weighing the arguments presented. In this way, you can exercise your mind and develop your intellectual abilities. Focus on a specific paragraph or section, read it carefully, and then spend most of your time pondering and reflecting on what you've read. This process of active engagement and critical thinking is essential for intellectual growth. Studying a specific subject in depth can also be beneficial, and perhaps nothing is more valuable than delving deeply into the mysteries of human evolution and the nature of reality. By devoting time and effort to thoughtful consideration and reflection, you can develop a sharp and alert intelligence that serves you well on your spiritual journey. Another effective way to cultivate a sharp and alert intelligence is to observe and study the world around us. By closely observing people, their words, actions, and facial expressions, we can gain a deeper understanding of human nature. This practice not only sharpens our wits, but also fosters empathy and compassion as we become more aware of the struggles and challenges that others face. By making a conscious effort to observe and understand those around us, we can develop a deeper sense of human connection and sympathy. This, in turn, can lead to more meaningful relationships and a greater sense of community. If we commit to practicing this kind of mindful observation daily, we can expect to see steady growth and improvement in our mental acuity and emotional intelligence. Another valuable practice for mental development is to exercise your imagination by creating vivid mental images without any physical reference points. For example, try to conjure up a mental picture of a friend who is not physically present. Focus on every detail, including the color of their eyes and hair, as well as their various facial expressions. Alternatively, try to recall your childhood home in meticulous detail. Imagine the house, the surrounding landscape, the hills, trees, and roads. This exercise can help strengthen your ability to visualize and focus your mind. By regularly practicing this kind of mental imagery, you can improve your creative thinking, concentration, and mental clarity. Repeated practice at seeing mentally is of the greatest value in self-development. While you're working to develop the essential qualities of desire, will, and intelligence, it's crucial to also prioritize meditation as a key practice. Through regular meditation, you can achieve remarkable transformations, allowing for greater awareness and consciousness. As you cultivate sensitivity and responsiveness in your spiritual bodies, they cease to be limitations on your consciousness. This can be achieved through meditation, combined with a focus on purifying your physical and emotional bodies. When you cultivate purity and sensitivity, you open yourself up to a deeper connection with your inner self and the world around you. By committing to a regular meditation practice, you can experience profound changes in your spiritual bodies, leading to a more expansive and enlightened state of being. Meditation is a crucial practice for spiritual growth, and it's essential to approach it with intention and guidance. Even under ideal conditions, controlling the mind and directing it towards a specific goal can be a significant challenge, especially for those accustomed to the fast-paced lifestyle of modern Western society. To overcome this challenge, it's recommended to meditate during the serene morning hours, when the mind is most receptive. Establishing a regular morning meditation practice can have a profound impact on your mental clarity and spiritual growth. To create an ideal meditation environment, find a quiet and secluded spot where you can sit comfortably without distractions. The most auspicious time for meditation is immediately after waking up, before engaging in any daily activities. Take a few minutes to calmly sit down, focus your mind, and reflect on a wholesome thought or virtue, such as patience, courage, or compassion. Maintain your focus on the chosen subject for at least 5 minutes, allowing yourself to settle into a deeper state of awareness. Through regular meditation, you can achieve two significant benefits that will transform your life. Firstly, you'll gain control over your mind, learning to focus and direct your thoughts with intention and clarity. This mental discipline will enable you to make conscious choices about your thoughts, emotions, and actions. Secondly, meditation helps to attract and integrate subtle, high vibrational energies into your energy bodies. As you focus on specific virtues or qualities such as patience, courage, or compassion, you'll begin to embody these traits, making it easier to manifest them in your daily life. Through consistent practice, these qualities will become ingrained habits, and you'll find yourself naturally expressing them in your thoughts, words, and actions. The art of meditation offers a powerful tool for personal growth and transformation. By focusing on the ideals you wish to embody, you can cultivate those qualities and become the best version of yourself. While it's true that anyone can transform themselves into the person they desire to be, it's essential to understand that this process requires dedication, patience, and consistent effort. It's not a quick fix or a brief, intermittent endeavor. While it's crucial to acknowledge the existence of our inner powers, simply recognizing them isn't enough to manifest change. The process of awakening and expressing our latent abilities involves a journey of growth, evolution, and transformation. Currently, our physical bodies are not sensitive enough to respond to subtle vibrations, and our brains are not equipped to receive and process the refined energies sent by our higher selves. The task of transforming our bodies to make them receptive to these subtle vibrations is a significant and challenging one. It's a misconception to think that simply realizing our inner power is enough to instantaneously become the person we aspire to be. True transformation requires a commitment to gradual, sustained effort and a willingness to undertake the process of growth and evolution. While every effort towards self-development yields results, it's essential to understand that the journey to spiritual illumination is a gradual process of inner growth. It's not a matter of sudden, miraculous accomplishment, but rather a deliberate and consistent effort to cultivate self-awareness and spiritual consciousness. There are instances where individuals who have embarked on this path have rapidly attained spiritual illumination, gaining conscious awareness of the spiritual realm and its inhabitants while still in their physical bodies. They have expanded their conscious awareness to encompass both the physical and spiritual worlds, and have developed the higher form of clairvoyance that enables them to understand past causes and influence future outcomes. However, these individuals are often those who have dedicated significant time and effort to self-development in past lives, and thus have already laid the groundwork for rapid spiritual growth. In some cases, all it takes is a slight shift in focus to unlock their latent spiritual potential. Joining a spiritual society or delving into theosophical studies can sometimes be the catalyst that awakens inner sight and accelerates spiritual growth. However, it's natural to wonder about one's past progress and current standing on the spiritual path. How can we gauge our progress and determine what lies ahead? The truth is, we can't know for certain, and it's not essential to know. What's more important is the attitude and mindset we bring to our spiritual journey. If we embark on this path solely because we think it will be easy or require minimal effort, we're likely to fail. In fact, if we're hesitant to take on the challenge because we're intimidated by the prospect of hard work, it's a sign that we may not possess the necessary qualities to succeed as a student. If someone doesn't have a strong desire to gain more power and wisdom to make a positive impact on themselves and the world, and isn't driven by a passion that can overcome any obstacle, they may not be ready to take the next step towards becoming a true disciple. However, even if you don't feel a burning passion for spiritual growth, which is a key indicator of success, don't let that stop you from diving into the study of the process. Sometimes it is a matter of finding a teacher, a person of wisdom and advancement, who can show the way. But how shall the pupil find the teacher? The teacher finds the pupil long before the pupil suspects that the teacher exists. And since it is the pupil who has the limited consciousness, it is quite natural that it should be so. It's a given that anyone who starts on the path to spiritual enlightenment will likely go unnoticed by spiritual teachers or guides for a long time. It's only natural that you won't be aware of anyone paying attention to you or guiding you until you've reached a point where your mind is receptive enough to recall at least a glimpse of your spiritual experiences. What makes a student stand out to be chosen by a spiritual guide? It's their sincerity, selflessness, devotion, and spiritual aspirations. As the old saying goes, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. There are many more guides waiting to teach than there are students who are ready to learn. Those who lead and enlighten are always on the lookout for individuals who qualify themselves to embark on the path of spiritual growth. Every person receives exactly what they're ready to receive. No one gets overlooked. When you have a genuine desire for spiritual growth, you're like a beacon shining bright, visible to those who are watching from a higher perspective. Your light stands out against the backdrop of a world consumed by materialism. These initial steps, recognizing the need for conscious evolution, understanding how to develop your soul, controlling your mind and body, overcoming base desires, and nurturing higher aspirations, are the first steps on the journey to self-development and enlightenment. Then we begin to discover that this very desire for greater spiritual power is generating a force that carries us forward and upward. We soon start to notice tangible changes. Our minds become clearer, our thoughts sharper, our influence expands, and our relationships deepen. As we aspire to greater heights, we're lifted into a new, radiant way of living, and the incredible powers of our souls begin to emerge. And the best part? There's no limit to this growth. We'll continue to evolve life after life with an ever-expanding consciousness until we possess the intellectual grasp of a visionary like Plato, the vivid imagination of a poet like Dante, and the intuitive insight of a genius like Shakespeare. It's not about accumulating knowledge or facts that make someone wise and great. It's about cultivating the soul from within, allowing it to illuminate our minds with a flood of inspiration and creativity, giving rise to true genius. And when, through the strife and storm, we finally reach the tranquility of the inner peace, we shall comprehend the great fact that life really is joyful when lived in the possession of spiritual power and in perfect harmony with the laws of the universe. As we take these initial steps on the path of spiritual growth, we enter a more fulfilling and elevated life than we've ever known. We're transformed, becoming a new person. The old desires and impulses that once drove us start to fade away, replaced by new, noble aspirations. We've learned to live in harmony with the universe, and in doing so, we've discovered that obedience to the natural order is actually the key to true freedom. Through conscious evolution, we've risen above the limitations of our physical desires and senses, and looking back on who we used to be, we do so without regret or apology. We understand the profound wisdom of Tennyson's words, "On stepping stones of their dead selves, men rise to higher things." We've transcended our old selves, and in doing so, we've gained the ability to rise to greater heights. The power to shape your destiny lies within you. It is your natural right to be happy, and to desire escape from the miseries of life, thereby creating the life that you want. Happiness is your normal condition, and suffering is only a result of ignorance. Death, poverty, disease, and enemies are not the inevitable realities of life, but rather opportunities for growth and self-development. Herein lies the key to unlock the door to spiritual illumination, and with it, the power to comprehend the purpose of your life. The universe has given you the gift and the power to shape your own destiny. The pursuit of this power is not a selfish endeavor, but rather a necessary step in the evolution of all humanity. It is not a distant dream, but a tangible reality that can be achieved through conscious effort and self-development. It is not a mystery, but a well-lit road that leads to spiritual growth and illumination. The tools provided here set you on the path to overcome the obstacles that stand in your way, to getting everything that you want out of life.